Hello my loves and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about how to perform real magic. You guys might have seen this video go up on my channel once before. That was actually posted by accident. I wanted to refilm it because I feel like there was so much more I could have added to that video, which is why we're here right now, refilming it, making the better version, because I notice as my YouTube channel has been growing, which it's been growing a lot lately, so thank you guys so much. I'm forever grateful for all of you guys who enjoy my videos and enjoy my content, but I also feel like I have needed to heighten the bar of my quality of videos. And it's not even that you guys have been asking for that, because I've never had a comment about like how I need to heighten the quality of my videos, but I just feel that internally that I want to be a little bit more creative. I want to challenge myself a little bit more to create content that is even a step higher. Even though there's a lot of research that goes behind my videos that you guys probably don't even see, but I spend a lot of time planning each video and doing a bunch of research behind it on the topics that I do eventually talk about. So I do want to mention that, but I just feel like I want to challenge myself even more to create even better videos and content for you guys. But with that being said, let's get into today's video, which is going to be about magic, and we're going to be talking about how to create your own rituals, what magic really is, how it really works. The beginning intro, I know a lot of you guys like to skip the intros because sometimes it can be a little bit mundane to watch, and you guys just want to get to the meaty part, the good stuff. But I will say in this video in particular, the foundation of what magic really is very important to watch, at least in this video, because it really sets the foundational knowledge for what magic really is, and with that understanding, you will then be able to create your own rituals to the best of your ability. You'll understand everything that goes behind it, which will then in turn help you understand how to create your own rituals and how to actually work with magic and energy and that kind of stuff. So I definitely suggest staying for the intro, even though I know sometimes it can be a little bit boring just watching somebody talk for a little while, but I promise you guys it's important in this video, so bear with me. Alright, so I suggest grabbing a cup of tea for this video, since it's going to be a little bit of a sit down and chat kind of video, and then also a little bit of a kind of more fun, meaty part later. Alright, so hopping into this, let's explain what magic really is. There's, in my opinion, a few different misconceptions of magic, and then there's also some other different ways of explaining magic that are also correct, but they are explained in a different way, in a different lingo, so you really have to just follow what resonates the most with you. I'm going to give you my perspective on magic based on my research and the things that have resonated with me and made sense to me. Most of you guys might know on my channel I take a lot more of a scientific approach to spirituality, although I'm very spiritual. I believe in a lot of esoteric things, but I also really like to find scientific evidence and proof behind these things, which science is actually showing so much more of the realistic side of spirituality now that many ancient texts have spoke about for years and many ancient religions have spoken about for years. Science is now just dawning on the fact that these things absolutely do exist and finding the actual proof behind why ancient religions and ancient people and civilizations have talked about these things for so long. And so ancient magic, I got a lot of this information from a book called The Doctrine and Ritual of High Magic by Eliphas Levi, and it is the translation that you're seeing on the screen right now. So I highly recommend this book. It is the best one that has been translated so far by the works of Eliphas Levi. I really don't know how to pronounce his name, so hopefully I'm not butchering that, but yeah, this book is definitely the best if you guys are wanting to learn the history of magic and where it came from and a little bit more about magic. So I'm going to give you guys a very, very condensed version of what he basically explains in the introductory of this book about what magic is. So essentially, magic is influencing the subconscious mind. And you guys have probably heard this being spoken about quite a bit on my channel, but essentially the reason why this is even a thing is because we as humans tend to be very stubborn. For example, anytime we want to change up our routine or do something new, for example, if we want to finally eat healthy or finally go to the gym, a lot of us find ourselves sitting there like, tomorrow is a better day. My body definitely is telling me to just relax today, even though I've done that for the past 3 years. My job is way too taxing. I deserve time off. Oh, I can wait till tomorrow. And usually it's like a mind-body disagreement that's happening, because your mind is like, ooh, I want to go do this, but the body's like, whew, lack of motivation here. Or even your mind sometimes feels a lack of motivation, even though your soul wants to change up their routine. You might want to go after a certain desire, but your mind says, we don't have time for that right now, or your body says, I just need to relax. And we find ourselves stuck in this place of, I really desire this, I don't want to be sitting on my butt right now, but yet it feels so good. My body is like telling me it feels so good. And the reason why it does is because this is a current subconscious construct in your mind, a subconscious pattern that you have. It's a habit, and it's really hard to break certain habits, especially if you were raised a certain way or if you've been doing life a certain way for so long. It's hard to break that routine because you've fired and wired certain neurons in your brain, and these pathways are used to getting fired, and anything that is new and foreign doesn't have strong neural pathways in your brain yet. And so anytime you do it, it's like, whoa, that feels weird, that feels foreign, and your body doesn't like it. It's outside of the box. And even if you get your body to go and do these things and you're eating healthy for the next week and you're working out every day for the next week, you'll notice that you might fall off the train and fall back into your old patterns and routines consistently, and it's really hard to break free from them, especially if you're over the age of 35, because they say once you're 35 you've fired and wired certain neurons together so many times that it becomes pretty hardwired in your brain. Not that it isn't changeable, it absolutely still is, but it tends to be a lot harder after that certain period of your life. So the reason why magic comes into play is because it is a really effective tool for actually retraining and reprogramming the mind. Therefore, you then experience a different reality in front of you, and you can do this with so many different things. And the reason why they call it magic, and the way that Eliphas Levi explains in the book, is that usually once you start using magic and you start reprogramming the mind in this way, even if you don't understand that you are technically just reprogramming your mind to have a different perspective in life, you'll notice that things change in your reality and it happens like magic. This is why we get the term magic, because a lot of us didn't understand what was actually happening when we do certain rituals or we use certain methods or modalities, or we have like lucid dreaming or out-of-body experiences or all these different esoteric things that couldn't be explained before. They seemed like magic, or things would change or appear in your life as if it was magic. And so this is where the term magic came from. Is it magic? Yes, in one perspective, absolutely. Is it magic in the terms of how other people might see it? No, maybe not, because there is actual scientific proof of why these things actually do work. So whether you're more of a science person or more of an esoteric person, both of these actually get married together in the same concept. Both of them are actually equally as important in the same concept. And so whether you lean fully left or fully right, it doesn't matter. Both of them are the same cookie. So that is the little explanation about magic. It is essentially just reprogramming the subconscious mind, and there's so many different ways to do that. For example, like scents, colors, different words can actually influence the subconscious mind in so many different ways, which is actually used a lot in advertising and so many other things. But that's a whole other video. That's a whole other can of worms that could be opened over there. But yes, many different ways that magic can be used. So with that being said, let's get into how to perform magic. So magic is very unique to the individual because of the fact that we all have a different subconscious mind. Although there is something known as the collective consciousness as well, so anything in your subconscious mind generally kind of gets shared throughout everyone's subconscious mind at the end of the day. It's a very kind of like esoteric thing, and we're all kind of like one united consciousness at the end of the day. But everyone does have a slightly unique subconscious mind, and so if you actually make a ritual for yourself instead of just reading one out of a book, it will ultimately be more powerful for you than if you just took one out of a book. But if you guys like to read ones out of the book and use those, and those work for you just fine, keep doing that. But if you guys want to know how to perform your own magic or create your own rituals, this is what I'm going to be explaining in this section right here. So it depends what ritual you guys are trying to create. A couple different powerful things that you can add into a ritual. For one, the wording is quite important in a ritual. So if you guys are wanting to attract a new career, the words that you use can be very, very powerful here. And you guys have probably heard in many different scripting videos, if you guys have seen those before, where generally it is talked about how different words can influence the subconscious mind in certain ways. And so if you're wanting to create a new career and you write down, I hate my current job, I must change my current job, your energy is so focused in that sentence on the current job, that you're so adamant on that job, which actually puts more energy towards that job. And so when you're scripting or when you're wording different things for the use of magic or for the purpose of magic or creating a new ritual for yourself, you're going to want to actually use wording that influences your subconscious mind in the direction you do actually want to go. So instead of currently focusing on the fact that you don't like your current job and putting more energy towards that and more focus towards that, instead you're going to word it in a way that brings your focus to what you do actually want. And so instead you're going to use words, for example, like, I love my new job, I just got hired in my dream job, or I just started my new business and I'm now working from home. However you want to word it based on what you're actually trying to attract. But you're going to want to write this in present tense as if it's happening right now. And the reason why you want to do this is because it actually starts to rewire new pathways in your brain so that your brain starts to believe that it is living that new life right now. And if your brain believes that it is living that new life right now, the decisions that you make in your life and the perspective that you'll have on your life is going to be that of the direction of what you're wanting to attract. Therefore, each decision that you make every day unconsciously is going to bring you closer and closer to that new destiny, to that new pathway in life, and to that new reality. This works for love. This works for, you name it. It works for anything. It works for self-confidence. It works for manifesting material items such as a car or a house or anything like that. If your mind believes that it's living in that reality right now, you are going to unconsciously and consciously, hopefully, begin to align yourself to that reality based on the choices that you're making every day, based on your new reactions to every action that happens to you. Because you guys might have heard a lot of people talk about how your reactions are very important in terms of how life ends up going. So if you got thrown a circumstance or somebody says something to you, your reaction is going to dictate how that experience plays out. And so if your mind is wired up to believing that it is living its dream life, your reactions to every action that comes your way is going to be in alignment with how the new you would be acting in this dream life. Therefore, it's going to actually slowly move and shift all of these areas around your reality towards that dream life. So when you're creating your own ritual, wording is very important. 2, you can add things like candles are used a lot in rituals, and specifically the different colors of candles is also very important. So if you guys want to research different color meanings, I feel like that would be a whole other video in itself, but a quick Google search can actually tell you what certain colors represent. Or if you're wanting to know what colors associated with love or career or money or manifesting material items, a quick Google search will tell you what certain colors associate with that, because different colors do actually have an influence on your subconscious mind. So for example, money is very associated with the color green or the color gold, because of course money is green, and then gold is also associated with money. So anything gold also associates with prosperity and wealth and luxury and opulence and all that kind of stuff. So color can also be a very important thing. And then also scents. Our memory and our mind is so heavily influenced by scents. For example, you might have heard some stories about people that lose their memory, and when going through like therapy in order to try to remember certain happenings and certain experiences, when they actually smell a smell that they had smelt during that experience, all of a sudden that memory flashes back in an instant and they remember it. And so our mind is heavily connected to what we smell. So if you start to wear a certain perfume, you can have that and begin to associate it with what you're wanting to attract, and begin to tell your mind while you're doing a ritual for a certain thing. So for example, if you're trying to attract money, you can take your favorite perfume, spray it on you or spray it on the paper, and then begin to do your ritual, and your mind will slowly begin to associate that perfume with money. For example, if you're wanting to attract money and you're doing a ritual around money, and then whenever you spray yourself with this perfume, your mind is going to think about the things that it is trying to get into alignment with. So I hope this is making sense so far. There's also different visualization techniques that you can use in rituals as well, so that is my next point. So for example, there's lots of rituals that are used for disconnecting certain things from your life. So for example, if there's a person that you want to cut the ties with, you essentially take two different candles, one that represents you, one that represents the other person. You tie them together with a string, and then you take scissors and you cut the string while saying that this person is no longer connected to you, and subconsciously being able to see a physical thing play out in front of you helps your mind actually believe that it happened. So a lot of us have troubles with believing something if we can't see it, which a lot of the times, if you actually know how magic works, it's you have to believe before you see. The belief first then creates the outcome, because if you believe it in your subconscious, then of course your reality is going to shift around that, because you're taking different actions, reactions, and actually creating with all the energy that's around you. Because again, vibration also is something that creates, and your thoughts have vibration, and based on the vibration of your thoughts, that goes out into the universe and resonates with that of what is equal to it. And so sending out these thoughts creates that ripple effect in the world, and then also visualizing something helps you feel like it was real, which intensifies that particular thought and that particular vibration to actually believe it. And so this is a very powerful method as well, using different things for visualization methods. For example, if you want to draw out you in your dream job and watch it happen, or if you want to draw a bunch of money on a piece of paper and pretend it's real for a moment, doing things that act on your visualization can really help, or seeing different things in front of you to help you add in that belief to make that manifestation a lot stronger for you. My next point is different crystals. You guys might have heard me talk a lot about crystals before. I actually have a crystal shop. I work with crystals so much, and each of these minerals has its own vibration. It's associated with different things. It affects the subconscious mind in certain ways. So of course there's different colors of crystals that can be associated with different things and all that jazz, and I'm not going to go into every single crystal. There's thousands upon thousands of crystals out there, you guys. But for example, if you're wanting to attract something like love, having rose quartz by you, it helps. Or attracting something like confidence or money, a crystal like pyrite is really good for confidence and abundance and stuff like that. Then there's also crystals like aquamarine is a really good one, or no, actually blue topaz is what I'm trying to think of. Blue topaz is really good for attracting like abundance and money and stuff like that. So there's all these different crystals that you can have by that do influence the subconscious mind in certain ways, and also have an energetic influence on the body as well, since everything does have a core vibration at the end of the day. Everything always has vibration, and vibration does have its own kind of thought form that correlates with that vibration. So interesting facts. Another ritual method that I really love, that I love to add into my personal rituals, is working with water. So water holds memory, and then water also holds vibration of different thoughts that you give it. And the particular scientist who is really famous for proving this, his name is Dr. Emoto. And he did the water experiment. You guys can Google it if you're interested. And essentially what he did is he took water and he put certain words onto these jars of water that were all from the same source and were molecularly the same on every single level. And then he pasted these words on there, and then after those words were pasted on there for a period of time, he then crystallized the water to see what kind of crystalline structure it would create, and proved that each of them had a different crystalline structure based on the word and the vibration of the thought that it was given. So for example, words like love and gratitude and thank you had beautiful geometric shapes in the water, and then words like disgust or I hate you had very distorted shapes once the water was crystallized. And so this went to go and show that the words and thoughts did have an effect on water. And just to take this experiment slightly further, he also did this experiment with rice as well, and he had 3 different jars. One said I love you, one he absolutely ignored and didn't say anything to, and then one was I hate you. And then he put a bit of water into these jars of rice and saw what would happen over the period of 1 month. And then after 1 month, he noticed that the jar that he said I love you to didn't rot a lot. In fact, it actually looked quite healthy. The one that he ignored probably looked the worst, the most moldy, I guess. And then the one that he said I hate you to was black and grungy and messy. So this went to show that yes, your thoughts have an effect on your outer reality. Your words have an effect on your outer reality. The vibration of the things that you say or talk about or think about has an effect outside of you. and it also has an effect within you because we are made up of mostly water. And so watch out what you're thinking about yourself and what you tell yourself and the things that you talk about, because it does have an effect on you and the outside world around you. So please watch out what you say. Back to the topic of what I like to use water for. I love to put my intentions into water, the things that I'm trying to manifest, put the vibration of those words into that water. And the way that you do this is literally just, this sounds crazy, by talking to the water. I fill up a jar of water, I then say my intentions, and I usually repeat them quite a few times. I don't just go through it once. I usually repeat it quite a few times, and then I drink that water, because we're made up of mostly water, and it's proven that water does take on the structure of whatever thought that it is given. And so I put all of my different intentions into water, and I usually do this on the new or full moon, and then I drink that, and I let the magic do the rest of it. The next thing that I want to talk about is meditation. So meditation can actually be a ritual, and it is absolutely magic, and it works like magic. It is probably the most powerful thing that I've ever experienced in all of my days of ever touching on any sort of magical ritual or thing that you can do. So meditation doesn't have to be seen as a magical thing, but I personally see it as a magical thing because it alters my reality so greatly. So what I like to do is I like to sit while listening to some 432 hertz music, or sometimes I just have it quiet, or sometimes I listen to a guided meditation online as well. There's many different ones that you guys can choose from. And I like to visualize what I want my life to be like. And I also like to visualize how I see myself. I like to change my view of how I see myself. And then I start to notice that my reality treats me differently, and the people in my reality see me differently because I see myself differently. And I'm going to use a quick example here about how there's been many times in the wild, which I don't recommend trying this, but there's just been many documented cases of this occurring, and I thought it was a perfect example for this particular scenario. The way that you see yourself has an effect on how people treat you. There's been many times that animals in the wild have been chasing after humans, and there's been a couple humans that end up just standing straight and staring the beast in the eyes and acting as if they're so powerful that they're not frightened about this beast charging them. For example, bears or tigers, things like that. And as the particular animal is still chasing you and like coming after you, and this person's not really running away, they're just standing there while this thing's coming towards them, and they have that really strong stance as if they're not scared, and that animal will get very frightened by that, and they'll realize, oh my god, that thing's not running, therefore they're not prey. If they're not running away from me, that must mean that they aren't something that I can prey after. It must mean that they're not scared of me, and I don't want to take on a challenge, you know, and they don't want that. They're looking for the prey, and the prey runs away from the beast or animal or whatever you want to call it, the predator. That's the word I'm looking for. My goodness, my mind is everywhere right now. So if you are not playing the paradigm or the archetype of prey versus predator, you're not going to see that reaction play out. Of course, there's been other times in nature that this probably hasn't worked for that person. I guess it really depends on how hungry that certain predator is. I don't know. But there's been many, many times that this has worked. And so it does go to show that the way that you see yourself, the way that you hold yourself, affects the way that people will treat you. So if you are currently playing the archetype of somebody who is a loser or somebody who is not cool, you'll realize that more and more times people will end up treating you this way, or more and more times that people will even see you this way, because that is the current way that you see yourself, and therefore subconsciously that does have an effect on the way that you walk, or the way that you talk, or the way that you react. When people say certain things, it will have a certain effect, and you'll notice that you're playing out that certain paradigm or that certain archetype. And so meditation can really help, because you can reprogram your mind so that you see yourself a different way, and you can change the way that you think about yourself, and ultimately this will change the way that you end up holding yourself. It'll change your personal self-confidence. It will change the way that you react to other people, which will then change the way that they treat you. And of course, it does take a little bit of time, because people might still see you a certain way, or they might still believe that you're a certain way. And so as long as you keep holding yourself up to this new self and realizing that, no, I am this new self, And you'll slowly realize that everyone else around you will begin to realize this as well. And a lot of times people will start to ask you, like, what did you do? You're just so different. Like, and it's a great different. All of a sudden you're confident. How did you get like that? What changed? What did you do? Meditation is one of the biggest conduits in my personal experience in my life that I've been able to shift my own thoughts of myself and my own archetypes that I put myself into, and have been able to change that throughout the years of my life. So meditation is a huge way to change the way that you treat yourself, the way you see yourself. It's a great way to change your outer reality as well, to get your subconscious mind really in the groove of this new reality. Because I will also mention that if you guys know about Dr. Joe Dispenza, he's a great neuroscientist and quantum physicist. He talks about how the brain and the mind can live an experience in the imagination, and it does not know the difference between imagination and reality. And what this goes to show is that even if you meditate on an experience, having that dream job, having that perfect relationship, seeing yourself as a confident person who's really good at public speaking or whatever that you want to start doing, if you play it out in your mind, your brain doesn't know the difference between the imagination and reality. Therefore, it actually begins to build the circuitry and the neural networks in your mind to then believe that it's already done this and already experienced it. So then when you go out to experience it in actual reality, your brain is already reacting as if that already exists. And if your brain reacts as if that already exists, you're then going to notice that your reactions are different, you are taking on new opportunities, you're aligning with different people, with a different path, with a different paradigm, with a different archetype, and therefore reality has to line up in that way. There's no other choice, it just has to line up in that way. So this is how to perform real magic. I do want to put a little disclaimer in here that this is not everything that you can do in magic. This is like basic magic. There is so much more that goes beyond this scope as well, but these are very powerful, like beginning, intermediate, and moderate ways of doing magic. It's also some advanced stuff as well, especially if you just really get into like very deep meditation or very deep rituals and you really begin to utilize it more. I will say the more you do something, the better you get at it. I know a lot of people start off rituals and meditation and they feel like it's really hard or their mind just isn't clicking with it. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it, and the better your mind will begin to associate that with what you are doing, and it becomes more powerful over time. So the more you do this, the more you experiment with it, the more you try it out, the better it will work for you in the end. Does it work for everyone? It can. If you're open to it, it absolutely can. But if you're not open to it and it's not your thing, that's cool too. But I will say, in my experience, it is the most powerful way to alter your reality, to get in alignment with your dream life, and to do anything and everything that you've ever wanted to do. So that is today's video, all about how to perform real magic. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give it a really big thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys!